hello and welcome everybody. Let's burn some of this midnight oil paint. Burn some of that midnight oil paint. So this is a painting I've been working on for a while. Well, not a while, it's probably a few hours a day. Only because it's a larger painting is it requiring some extra attention. There we go. How are we doing? Yeah, all right. We got a show. We're on TV, people. Look, we're on TV. We'll be burning this midnight oil paint. Have quite a lot of oil paint to work with. I got a bunch recently. I ordered a ton of oil paint recently. Way more than I could ever possibly need in next year. But you know that's sometimes what we do, right? We splurge on the things we love the most, like our pets, our profession, things that we love the most, our friends, family, all these things. So here we go. Let me put some of this in here. Gotta reorganize some of my brushes here. So if you were here with me earlier today, I was doing some painting outside. We're working on a separate painting now because we're on to the next thing. Always on to something different. I highly appreciate an artist that can stick with one style and stick with it forever. But that will probably never be me. So let's grab a brush here. Let's find a. We're going to use our favorite brush, our little brushy brush right here. This is a synthetic fiber, Princeton synthetic fiber, Princeton Catalyst synthetic fiber. It's got the black tips, black ferrules. And let's see how we're going to do this. Let's go ahead and highlight up. Got some new paints. Let's see. We're gonna look for. Got these paints from Charvin, but they're all the same. Oh, here we go. It tells you which color is on the bottom. Jaune de France. I guess that's French yellow. They're all French words. These are all French words. How am I supposed to figure out which colors these are? I hope these two aren't the same colors because they're not supposed to be. Jaune de France. They might have sent me two of the same colors. Let's see. So this is another one of those kits where they send you multiple. Oh, no. These are two separate colors. Perfect. So I'm going to look for this lemon. I'm going to try to use this lemon white here. Got new tubes of Charvin fine oil paints. So they do a collection where you buy 5. They do little collections of 5. So, you know what? Maybe we'll stick with a lighter palette here. Look at all my oil paints. What do I do with all this oil paint? I just use it. You use all your oil paint. Okay. So we're gonna throw down a bunch of white here. We want to get this as light as possible. And I have some yellow. Here we go. Let's use up the rest of this yellow here. I'm going to use up the rest of our Winton colors. These tubes are ready for, I got to use up these colors as much as possible. Because these tubes have holes in them on the back. My Winton tubes, which means I need to get rid of the paint as fast as possible. Otherwise, it's just gonna go to waste anyway. So we're gonna come with our citrus yellow here. Let's find a nice citron color. And let's go. We're just gonna find this highlight here. And the paint is still somewhat drying. And I'm going for this super bright. I'm going for what I call the Mona Lisa color palette, which is these super white. And I think the truth is with Mona Lisa is the actual history of it is that it's changed colors. It started yellow because of the use of linseed oil, not so much because of the color of paint that Da Vinci used. And if I did my research, I'd probably know, what colors he actually used. But we're just gonna play with this idea of using this off yellow color, slightly off yellow, white. And this next shadow is looking really deep, but we're just gonna keep building this color in. Oh, there's a little bit of green there. There's a lot of green there. Let's go ahead and mix this back in with our white here. I'm not going for like the natural, I'm not going for natural colors on this. We're totally gonna go with like this ultra bright yellow paint. And then what I need to do into the shadow is blend it in just a little bit. Add a better blend of shadow into this. Just make the transition look less rough here. Less harsh. And how can we reduce we're going to reduce the overall thickness of her neck here. This neck detail. Let's see how we get this nice and yellowed, as if it's been aged for hundreds of years. this. I'm gonna bring it down, brush it nice and much softer here. Yo, dinosaurs, what's up, Crazy Fox? How you doing? Yes, that's what we're going for. Dinosaurs. Burning the midnight oil paint, baby. Let's go. What you got? You got anything creative? Crazy Fox VR. What's the VR all about? What do you do? What's the you got like a VR channel? And let's go here. And we need to go around the cheek. We want to increase the highlight around the cheek in here. And then get right up into the eyes. We're going to find a little bit. Let's find our highlight right into here. And we're going to come down. Oh, am I blocking? Am I totally blocking this? I'm sorry, people. You just gotta let me know. You gotta be like, yo, dude, move your big old head out the way, so that we can see, what the heck is going on. That's all you gotta say. Move your dang head out the way. And it's a really good time to work on this paint because, you know, the early stages can be kind of stressful. Because I just know that there's like this phase that that it's so rough, so loose, that I just never know with my painting. I mean, I always know that I can turn it into something nice, but I just never know how long that phase is gonna be and how long people are gonna see it for. It's a little bit stressful, not like super stressful, but like not stressful in like a bad way, but like I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a surprise when it finally does look the way that I want it to look. But that's what I love about oil painting is, you know, there's so much flexibility. And let's try to find some of these shapes into here. We're gonna go some of our highlights into here. And we need to find, like, this shadow needs to be much more subtler. Much more subtle. So let's see, maybe we can actually blend this around here. There we go. Just blend it around with a little bit of a the tiniest hint of shadow. This is gonna be How do we get this blend? Let's see, how do we get this blend a little better here? I think we need some more cohesion across. And get this cohesiveness. You know what, let's get creative. Let's add some color. I don't need to follow this idea to the T. We gotta add some color. That's what we're here for, right? That's why we paint. Painting is for people that are colorists. So we're gonna add a little bit of blush. Gotta find a good, nice subtle spot to add some blush here. And we're gonna come into here. Let's get some reds into here. Let's try to get this hand a little bit more cohesive. here, this area. This is going to be the hardest. This is definitely the most challenging spot here. Is this area around this cheekbone, because she's smiling with her this one lip up, and I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that one. How are we gonna do this? Triangle here. Triangle color. And here we go. The area under the neck could probably be a little darker. So the challenge with this painting for me personally is the fact that I'm not painting what I see. I'm actually, trying to paint something a little different than what I see. I'm not going with my instincts on these paintings because I'm trying like a different color palette. So it's a little bit more challenging. And it'll take me a little longer probably. I'll probably be working and reworking this for a long time. Not a long time, just longer than usual. Let's go. Yo, all right, let's see. Did I ever learn something Ross? I can't see. Learn Bob Ross. This is so sudden in your OP. You don't know watching Bob Ross. You were like 9, 1979. Which, it's the which limits it's finished. Come back to another. What? What's up, Bobo Go? Great of you to join this chat. So I'm not quite exactly sure what you're asking, but who born before 2000 did not watch Bob Ross? Pretty much how can you not have watched Bob Ross if you were born before 2000? Bob Ross is as essential to art for the masses as any other painter who has ever lived. As any other painter. As essential. He is an essential human being. Bob Ross is an essential human being. An essential cultural icon necessary for society to thrive. there's a lot of people that we can, you know, do without, could have done without, but not Bob Ross. Bob Ross is so critical. So let's see, it's finished. It's not finished. I'm gonna work on this for a while. And the reason being is that I'm trying to work with a different color palette than I'm used to. You know, usually I just like look at a painting or a photo, and I know what to do because I just copy whatever's in the photo, right? But I'm doing something a little different. I'm trying to use a photo, but then I'm using a totally different reference image for our color palette, and that's where someone's challenge. This is a friend of mine. So a friend of mine gifted me this whole painting with the frame and everything. It's about a 400. A streamer of mine's quoted this frame at about $750, but um, you know the price. So if you ever purchase it, the price of the frame is actually written on the back. It's about a $400 frame plus the painting. Or I actually don't think this is an actual painting. I think this is like a print or something with a couple of flourishes added to give it some texture. But ultimately, the main idea is that they gifted it to me and they're like, "Hey, dude, like paint some dinosaurs." Not exactly like that. They also collect some of my artwork, so when they were like, "Hey, we'll give you this, and you don't have to paint dinosaurs if you don't want to," but I decided to do something for that includes dinosaurs and you know helps me to maintain that collector relationship. So she's a collector friend of mine. So let's see, we got pterodactyl right here. We got Barney, not technically not Barney. I'm just throwing his name out there, but purple dinosaur. This is not Barney. I would never paint Barney. Actually, this looks more like Barney than this one. Even though this one's purple, this one actually looks more like Barney with his body shape. But another little dinosaur right here. I don't know what this dinosaur is yet, but it's a dinosaur. That's all I got. That's all I got for you. I am looking for just the right combination of shadow meets light in here. Someone tells me I'm going to be working that for a little while. It's way too deep. I made it look way too deep. But is this like a still? Looks like Avengers, Peacemaker. No, that is way better than you could conceive with crayons, even if it converts. Can't afford true paint. Bob Ross lets, and you diddle crayons. If you heat the crayon tip, you know what Picasso drew with crayons. So You know, no, it's all about what you do with it. But I have committed to the craft of painting, therefore, this is the craft that I must do. And if you know, I mean, I think if you actually commit fully to saying, hey, I want to do oil painting, you will find ways to afford oil paint. Anything you fully commit yourself to, 100%, is a possibility. Is. I want to soften her neck here. Just way too harsh of a neckline. The neck is way too harsh. I'm gonna have to modify this. This will take a while. All right. Anyway, we can actually go into this and blend this in a little bit too. Really just soften up some of these shadows. Eagle flying. Used to take Marshall Twyquad. Shipped to Florida. Broke both toes. All right, well, at least you won. Good job, dude. The highlights. It's always good to be a champion, right? You are a champion. Okay, let's go ahead and brighten up this area. If you're a Taekwondo champion, I'm sure you know all about burning that midnight oil for anything that you want to achieve in life. Anything that you want to do. I'm just trying to find a way to soften these fingers a little bit. So you said you used to be in the mirror with nunchucks for 30 minutes. All right, that's cool. 200 sit-ups, 200 push-ups, kick 200 times. All right, let's hear the story of Bobo Go. Bobo Go, is that right? Let's give Bobo Go a shout out for being the first chatter on my Amazon Live today. The first chat machine. Welcome, Bobo Go. All right. Let's grab our yellow ochre. I want to grab some yellow ochre here. So Bobo Go is a true champion, a champion of the martial arts, Taekwondo. Very kick-ass sport there. Literally kicking. Oh, it's a little bit too. It's kind of it's got some give, so I gotta adjust my easel here. The one thing about this easel is it's really hard to lock. It doesn't lock very easily. And Bobo Go, you used to watch Bob Ross. So that's the one gift that Bob Ross always gave to us, though, right? Bob Ross just always had the right things to say. Bob Ross had all the most amazing words that can make you feel like you were the greatest, yet so much potential. Brighten up the eyes a little bit. I want to increase the darkness of our pupils here. So Bobo Go says, can't say that. You only did 1 to 2 to defend yourself. Sidekick. Hey, however, you say you did it, but like, whatever reflexes. I think when you do martial arts, you build those reflexes. You build certain reflexes that, you respond the way you're supposed to respond. Let's go. Nice deep black. I'm gonna go deep into the black with our eyelashes here. Totally exaggerating the eyelashes. That's perfect. That's the way to do it. Well, hey, Bobo, thanks for letting us know the story of that time that you won your Taekwondo tournaments. So you said earlier, I mean, you must be. So out of curiosity, how did you find this live stream? Like, I know how people find live streams on on YouTube or like TikTok or Instagram. I know how that works, but how did you find this live stream? Just so curious. Do you just like scroll through, or how does that work? I'm really curious how people find live streams on Amazon. This color. I'm just building some more yellow, but I don't like it. I don't like this yellow. Okay, so let's go find this color in the hands here. All right, well, Go has left the room. I wonder how many times I'll have to paint over everything before I finally feel like we've reached the point where it kind of matches the original idea. I guess we gotta be flexible, right? The original idea here was to do a painting of her, but with the same like color palette as the Mona Lisa. But there's a problem with that, is that the Mona Lisa it's weird. It's like a weird yellow color because of aged oil. I think that's the history of the Mona Lisa. So, and obviously, you know, I don't have the fine detail, super fine detail of the ultra fine detail skill of Da Vinci. Because there are just some subtle things that he does that are just so profound as far as creativity goes, or as far as painting goes as a skill. I'm probably gonna have to work and rework this at least a few more times because I still haven't decided on the right color yet here. Still haven't decided on the right color. We could probably go into here a little bit. Let's go grab the hair. We're going to use our hair to keep carving away at this part of the face here. her a nice thin, a little bit of a thinner neck. And then this needs to come down a nice angle. We will get this. Needs to come down even a little bit further. Let's see, almost like past, because she's got these like raised. Shoulder, I think they have like shoulder pads in her thing. Let's go with a little bit of green. Yellow green here. Let's grab a yellow green. Grab some of this blue. Try to find like a yellow green. Dark brown green shadow. Does that work? I don't think the green's gonna work. What if we just gave her a flat neck? Let's just give her a totally flat neck instead of messing with all this. Just gonna flatten her neck, not show her bones or anything. Let's just see what this looks like. Just gonna paint over this whole area. Just give her a nice flat neck. Eventually we're going to paint over this, but I'm just trying to see. It looks a little better. I mean, obviously the color doesn't match everything else, but at least we have like a foundation here. And give it a day to catch up as far as color. But I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to need to give her a flatter neck. And then let's go ahead and we are going to build a shadow. We're going to leave that. And let's see how we can modify this arm here. Go with an off gray. We're just going to come into here and let's see. Let's try this again. We're going to try to go for a, just going for the shadow here. Ever so most subtlest shadow. The paint is wet, so might not get it, but at least we can have a foundation from which to work another day. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to capture the underneath the chin here. So this shadow is going to go around the chin. And then because of the way the light is, that actually doesn't look so bad. I can already kind of see how it starts to make sense. It's not distracting. All right, so we're gonna leave that for now. That's a shape right there. And let's go. Oh, this is interesting. So this is a little bit too high for the cheekbone here. I think that really helps to smooth out the cheek a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that really helped to smooth out the cheek quite a lot. All right, that's good. It's a nice touch. And then we're going to go a little bit of shadow. Yep, painting is definitely one long game of just understanding people's faces. One never-ending game of trying to understand people's faces. No, I shouldn't be doing this right now. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 10:02 p.m.
10:02. Okay. 10:02. Not a bad hour. Make a wish, everybody. We should be able to make wishes whenever we want. Why did humans create a time from which to make a wish? When the truth is that we can create wishes whenever we want, anytime. There's no limitation. We can constantly always make time for making wishes. So make a wish right now. Make a wish because it's 10:02. Make a wish because you're awake. Make a wish. That's it. Just make a wish, people. You don't have to wait till 11:11. It's getting better. It's getting better. Her face looks a little bit looks a little unusual, but because it's so everything's just such a hard edge. That is one thing that Leonardo da Vinci did absolutely amazing. Is everything was so soft. How do you make everything look so soft? Everything I'm doing is just such a clean, crisp cutout. And yeah, so I am using the Mona Lisa as a reference for color and understanding some shadow and how he used shadows and manipulated, made things look so soft. and it probably, you know, definitely comes, I mean, not probably, it definitely comes down a lot to just knowing how to paint, knowing just how to paint in that classical way, or even draw or sketch. All right, let's figure out these hands here. So these hands have this mix of like, these hands have a mix of like different color values. I feel like the face is at a good point. You know, I've got a couple like issues with it, but of course, you know, these issues are not too difficult to patch up. And I think the face matters the most. Let's go. You know what? Let's modify her lips. Her lips are a little bit too big on the. Her lips are a little bit thinner. And let's go. Gotta make a decision on these hands here. For our shadows, we're gonna mix in some pinks. That's what we're gonna do. So where their fingers kind of turn. Trying to blend in some of these darker, these places where there's shadow to give it a little bit more of a more natural look. You know what? This red's not too bad. It's pink. I think the biggest challenges, I mean, a lot of challenges, but I think the hardest thing for me is the fact that this is yellow. I just cannot get over the fact that I'm painting her yellow. I'm trying to think of how we can add some softness to these knuckles here. I think if we round them out a little bit, let's round out these fingers. We're gonna round them out. We're gonna do a little bendaroo, a little bit of bending here. And even this little crease. go with our gray here. We'll take a nice dark gray. Let's go ahead and round it out. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of work on these fingers. I feel like I should just. Her fingers are way too long. That's the problem. These hands are way too big, but I don't feel like repainting them all over again. These paintings, the fingers are absurdly long. I need to proportion them a little bit better. Let me think on this. Should I redo the hands totally or what? Or I could just leave them and just call it art. Like that length, the length of that highlight. Should be about the length of the hand. So whatever this highlight length is, about the length of the hand. Let me see. Note to self, I think that this is a common recurring thing. Is I'm really quick with hands, but I realize now that I really need to slow down, especially on hands. I know I can actually paint them if I take the time, but once you like reach a certain point, and if you're too loose, the proportions can totally be thrown off. Let me see if I can actually match this background here. We're gonna do something different. Change up our activity here. go a little bit darker. Add a hint of red. Like a brown. Let's go over here. This is a time when you need to watch some Bob Ross and figure out what techniques he used to make these splatters. This is obviously uncopyable. You know, you could just find some humor in this idea that an attempt was made. All right, we're gonna build into this. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the outside part painted. But I do love looking at this and just seeing like what the possibilities are. Clearly they used some, not just the regular brush. I'm probably gonna have to redo these hands. But the face is looking good. The face is looking to good standards. So I'm gonna be happy about that, but it is getting late. But I'm gonna keep painting for a little longer, not too much longer. It's really experimental, but this brushwork is really interesting. They definitely used, I mean, can't really take a guess, but you know, they probably had their own little brush. Maybe even like a sponge. Or a handy fan brush. A well-maintained fan brush. Let's see, let's play with that. Yeah, I'm guessing it was some sort of fan brush. And then add some little yellow highlights. Yellow and green. Yellow, green, blue. I think eventually, if you like paint over it enough, it's just bound to start looking like it's supposed to be there. Like you're not gonna be able to tell the difference at some point that this was. I don't want to totally paint over everything. Just the major sections here. What other brushes could have been used here? I'm gonna go with some darker colors. Eventually, you're not going to tell the difference, but that's not looking good. So, it's all now. I think this would look good if it was by itself, but if I'm trying to make some copy, I really gotta know the brush. It's really interesting. What would be a good brush for this? All right, well, this means we need a break. So if you're here now, thanks for tuning in. We'll take a break from this. Probably need to spend more time drawing classical hands. Ooh. I think basically far as a lot of the elements go, I'm probably gonna rework the face again because I want to get the highlights, and I can't stand this yellow. I mean, the yellow's okay, and then I gotta work on this shadow under the neck. We're gonna flatten her neck and get rid of the actual neck cartilage. So we're gonna get rid of that. Well, we already got rid of it. We just gotta add the shadow in. And I'm gonna redo these hands because these hands, the fingers are just too long. These fingers are just way too long. And then I have no clue what I'm gonna do about these trees here. How are we going to manage to get these trees looking good again? For all the areas, right? The area up here, the area down here, coming around the trees. I think all this stuff's okay, but it's just the stuff I needed a when I start my paintings, I get a really loose outline, and unfortunately, what that creates is it makes it not impossible, but really difficult for me to do a painting like this, where I have to kind of like knowing exactly what you're laying down, so you don't have these extra outlines that you can like paint away on a regular canvas, on a regular painting. But whatever, here we go. It's just some personal notes there. We're gonna call it a wrap for the night. If you're here, thanks. Oh, hey, how you doing, Fern? Sleepy Fern? Sleepy girl? Yeah? What's going on? I close those eyes? Yeah? Okay. Alright, my cat's tired. So am I. So have a good one, everybody.